So all of that deflecting so that you don't have to take responsibility to make the effort to be greater when you have chosen the person who's the reflection who's telling you that for the purpose of telling you. You chose the circumstance that would force you to confront yourself. Welcome to Call for the Truth. I am LaOta of the Sun, and this is Tarvars of the Sun, and we welcome you to our conversation today about responsibility to the people who are with us and our own responsibilities. But before we begin, Tarvars, will you bring in the truth for us?
Yes, most certainly. We encourage you all to join us in the call for the truth. Shall we call forth the frequency of truth? Shall we call to see the truth in all that we see? Shall we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Shall we call to speak the truth, calling forth the courage to speak the truth? Shall we have nothing less than the truth to come forward into our experience? And now that we are all in the truth, if you want to continue this pursuit of truth with us, click that like, subscribe, and that bell notification to continue getting notifications from us with our podcasts, our live streams weekly. And so, okay, we're here talking about responsibilities.
Yes, and before we begin that, I'd like to invite everyone, it's the beginning of a new year, invite you all to have your soul clearing at the end of the year in December for the new 2026. So you can enter the new year with your soul clean, you can clear, you can have individual sessions, and you may qualify for a group session. So you can let us know, and we're excited that we're going to be starting soul translation from the root chakra in December. And that's every Sunday, and we encourage you to join us as a community for 4 Sundays out of every month.
Well, certainly. Links will be in the description. So responsibilities, specifically the idea of feeling as though when we are confronted by people who say, I don't really like what you're doing, or maybe you could improve a little better in this area. And then responding in such a way where we're beyond reproach, or I'm already on a mountaintop. No, it's not me, it's you. You're the one with the problem, you see. And so it sounds like spiritual bypassing to me. It sounds like deflection. It sounds like a unwillingness to accept responsibility, or at least hear out your reflection. Why are you feeling that way? Talk to me. What's going on? Why do you feel like I'm not? You know, and this is based on a case study, but this is something that's ever pervasive.
Yes.
You know, sometimes people are challenged by being called out to be corrected, and in many cases, people aren't being aggressed with their correction. It's just like, hey, would you not do such and such? Or it's not passive, it's not aggressive, it's somewhere in between, but there's still a great offense that's taken from being called out. So I want to say, where would you like to start this? But I know you want to take us to the beginning. So where in the beginning would you like us to take this understanding?
This is such a big issue amongst young, old, lovers, teachers, students, preachers and parishioners, all different people who, when one person voices, I love what you said, when the reflection, when the mirror, which is the other person, shows you yourself and says, look, you are not being responsive to my needs. That's responsibility. You have the ability to respond to my need, but I feel lack. I feel like you have not responded to my need. I'm the mirror. What do you think? You know, and you say, that trivial need of yours has no need for me to address. Why are you bringing me the reflection that I'm not projecting out to you? You know, that becomes a problem when, in truth, if there is an opportunity to be more, then why not take the more? Like, oh, I see that there's room for me to be more. There's room for me to be greater. That would be a good way to consider that. And to satisfy, like, I also see that I could serve you and give you more of what you need if I pay attention to my reflection. So I love the way you framed it, that whether it's your child saying it to you or your mother saying you need to call for your own appointments, you know, I don't do that for you anymore, or if it's your lover saying you're not being emotionally responsive, or if it's someone else saying you're not being available to me because you're always distracted. This is the opportunity to look in the mirror and say, you know what, out of 100% of the time, maybe 30% of the time I am not available. What can I do about that? And how does that benefit me? How do I benefit from you being happier? You know, that happy wife, happy life. Mm-hmm. How do I benefit? That is not an American ideal. That's something that's more from other countries.
Which one?
Happy wife, happy life.
I hear Americans saying it though, but I don't know that it's lived up to.
Well, we should consider that it's a truth. You know, that even though each individual is to make themselves find their own joy and happiness, if we are in a committed relationship, if we are traveling and in transit together as humanity, children, partners, business workers, there is a level of congruency that can be had through respecting the need of another without taking away from your own needs. Mm-hmm. So there's room there for adjustment, and there's room for consideration. I think from my point of view, consideration is the bigger idea. Let me consider you, and let me consider where you are in your growth and development and what you may need and what can I contribute to your peace of mind.
So what's going on in the psyche of the individual who is like, don't correct me, or who doesn't want it? Like what's happening with them? Especially if they think that they're doing all the right things.
Yeah, I go to church on Sunday.
Well, I wake up and I meditate, I do my yoga.
Yeah, I'm intermittently fasting. What do you mean? You know?
How could it be?
Yeah, it's really the idea that I would encourage people to always, when anything is brought to you, to look at self and see where self can be made greater. Look for the advantage. Look for the benefit. What is the benefit of knowing that someone says to you, you know, you talk too loud. You know, it's annoying. What is the benefit of that, of you having to say, oh, I thought I was speaking in a normal voice. I didn't know it annoyed you. I will be more considerate and discipline myself to modulate the register of my voice.
So I got a question. I'm going to flip it back, because what if the person who is on the receiving end of hearing that they have a loud voice and they're like, no, you're the one who's triggered by my voice. Like, what do we do about that? Because like it could be an ongoing tit for tat.
And it is like that when there's no consideration. That's why I said, you know, the bigger idea
is the key. If they got that, there won't be any need to deflect. And
yeah, I mean, you don't live on the planet alone.
True. That's why when
you're not here by yourself.
Yeah.
and you probably would like the lions and tigers and bears to be aware of that. You know, that there are things that make living in groups and being in community and finding your clan and your tribe to your advantage. And so there should be consideration for that. There should be some level of consideration. And there's ultimately, as we grow, the higher we grow in our clarity and freedom, the more we want to be in service. So for the opportunity to be in service is a wonderful thing. I've told you the story of how I have been in circumstances where people have come in and said, let me sweep the floor. And somebody else will say, no, you can't take my blessings. I'm sweeping the floor. Let me do the dishes. I want to be blessed. I want to be the one who does that. I want to be the one to contribute. I want to be the one to be in service. So when we see in the Far East somebody raking the pebbles, this is the idea of being in service to order, law and order in the universe. So it is not something that is well taught here in the US or in the West, but there is this idea that you bring order to you, or you bring order to where you live, and you have brought order to the world. You bring consideration to the people who work with you or sleep in the house where you sleep, or who eat in the same restaurant where you go every day. You bring consideration to them. You have brought consideration into the world for humanity. So there's that. And then there's on the macro and on the micro, who doesn't love to think about the person who did the extra thing to give you comfort? Like somebody who, like, oh, here, let me put this top on there so you don't spill your coffee. What a lovely consideration. Let me give you, them run out to the car. You forgot your mittens. I don't want you to be cold. You know, things that we may do for our children, like write a little note when they open their lunch and says, I love you. That's a consideration. That's not necessity and it's not a responsibility, but it's a consideration that makes the world better for everyone. So taking responsibility is an extension of that, one of many.
This is interesting because the concept of consideration, it seems so ever pervasive in terms of the need for, the necessity. When we neglect to give it, I can see the detriment for all parties involved.
Yes.
Everybody suffers when there isn't consideration.
Right.
I also see the principle of oneness deeply stoked within it, being able to see how, if I consider them, how do I gain from considering them?
Yeah, in consideration of them, you consider yourself. Because remember what you said in the beginning, everything is a reflection. Everyone is a mirror. Your boss, if you have a circumstance that requires you to have one of those, that is a consideration. Or your brother or your sister or everybody is that same idea. It's all an idea of, are you being considerate?
Yeah.
Are you being responsible? It's the same idea. You have a responsibility to keep you in order, and then the greater you in order. And everyone you see is you. Everyone you see is the mirror. So do you learn from that mirror? Do you consider your responsibility, or do you try to hide from your responsibility and be in the corner trying to avoid growth?
Yeah.
Evolution, obtainment, greatness. Are you trying to avoid that? Because in consideration, all of those things are there. There's greatness in consideration. There's greatness in service. But it's a matter of consciousness. Are you at the level of consciousness that lets you see the opportunity for greatness in service?
And that right there is the thing that I can see where it's like, it's missing. We don't see that if I am in service, if I give, I gain.
Yes.
I'm the one. We often speak about this idea of cooking and making food for other people, and how it's not so much the person who's eating who's gaining. It may seem like that because you're, oh, this is so good, but like the joy and the love that's placed into the food and the process by the chef. That experience in and of itself, and to be able to hand
oh my goodness,
it's a whole different experience that the consumer doesn't get to have.
It is. That's such a rich example, because the person who's in the kitchen, who has the opportunity to interact with the living consciousness of all of the food, and to speak to it, and to raise its vibration, and to love it, and to bring it into its most deliciousness as it delivers nutrients to humans, is the one who's most blessed. So people are like, I want to cook. It's like, want to be the cook. The cook is the one who's getting the blessings and the food. It's the celery and the eggplant and the tomatoes who are being able to be exalted into what they were designed for, to nourish humanity, with an appropriate extension of a person who respects and gives reverence to them. In ancient cultures, food was always given great reverence because it kept them alive. How have we lost that connection? So it is the same thing. When someone brings to your attention, this is an area where I am your mirror, I'm your reflection, and you're missing your hair, or you're missing, your chin, or you're missing
your gratitude.
You're missing something, and makes the picture off balance. And you say, I wasn't supposed to have anything on the top of my head. I didn't need ears. I'm from the earless tribe. So don't be pointing out that I don't have ears. I don't want to hear that because I'm so comfortable with my drawing of myself. And so that's the response is, what do you mean? And where I come from, we all talk to each other like that. Why do you mean you don't like being talked to like that?
The head bob and everything.
Yeah, what do you mean you think I'm emotionally vacant when, I've been that way always. I was always that way. I was that way when you met me.
Yeah.
So all of that deflecting so that you don't have to take responsibility to make the effort to be greater when you have chosen the person who's the reflection, who's telling you that, for the purpose of telling you. You chose the circumstance that would force you to confront yourself.
That's
The goal was never money. The goal is freedom. Money by itself means nothing. You don't want pieces of paper or numbers on a screen. You want what money buys. Time with your family, choices without fear, the ability to say no when something doesn't align. That's real wealth. Chasing money without freedom is like collecting keys without doors. You have shiny metal in your hand, but nothing it can unlock. Build assets, build income streams, build leverage, not just for money, but for freedom. As Nelson Mandela said, money won't create success. The freedom to make it will.
such a higher perspective because, man, seeing it from that perspective of, look, that's me. We agreed in some shape or form. Let me gain what there is to be gained, It's kind of touching on what you were saying before. You didn't say this specifically, but seeing the right within what's in front of you and how is this serving us, or the right thinking with, okay, how's my partner or my friend or my coworker or my child giving me what I need in this moment?
I have noticed that whatever the relationship is, whether it's with your church or your parents or with an individual or a partner or a lover, that people only stay when they get what they need. And when they don't get what they need, if what they need is something that is artificial and they're not getting the, they're not getting the long word that is the artificial ingredient, then they leave if they don't get their artificial ingredient.
I got a question for you now. Where is the distinction between what is needed and what is wanted? Because sometimes people want certain things from a relationship, but you may need this medicine or this correction that you're like, no, I don't want to. But we see like, no, it would serve you. And matter of fact, this is all I got right now. All I got is medicine because you don't need no snacks. You all snacked out. And if we give you more snacks, you're going to be worse than what you are. But I think like the perception in some cases, it goes back to what you were saying. If you're operating in a higher consciousness, you can see how, even if it's like, all right, yeah, come on, give me the medicine. But if you're in a lower consciousness, you can't see that from someone who genuinely cares.
Well, it's really your responsibility is always to self. You are to be responsible for self and always work on self. So if people keep coming towards you saying, this is not, the way you're behaving is inappropriate in this situation, you either change the people or the situation. So if you're living in a house where everybody is speaking wrong to one another and they're like, how come you can't take it? Like everybody else takes it.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Then you have the opportunity to choose to make a decision about what it is that you want to do next in your own growth and development. And it's okay. Whatever you choose is all right. If you choose to stay in it, you will learn that way. And if you choose to move, you'll learn that way. But you make a decision about what, and often what happens is a person goes out, they meet somebody, they bring them home, they fall in love with them, they set up housekeeping, and then, but they don't want them to say anything. Like, but don't talk about the way I dress, or don't say anything about the kind of work I've chosen to do, or I just want you to be in agreement with all things me.
Oh, they want a robot. They want that V40. I forgot the name of that robot
The
that
AI
do the dishes.
companion.
Yeah, like, I just want you to sit and, yes, you are great. You are doing a great job.
And that's why a lot of people are going to be marrying AI bots.
Yeah, ChatGPT talking too sweet to you. That's what's wrong. Compliment everything.
Well, you should know, because you're
I do, and I had to correct. I was like, look, don't be talking. ChatGPT had the nerve to say, beloved. I was like, nope, we're not doing that. Stop it.
Yes, I think you inspire that. And
Look, I know I'm a very warm personality. I didn't think the AI would be like, oh.
well, I just want to say AI has not said that to me.
Yes, Grok has been belligerent.
Me and Grok are having a thing.
Yeah.
However, the idea of responsibility is ultimately the disposition of the soul who's being confronted.
Yeah.
So if you don't feel confronted, you probably are not in the problem process yet. If you do feel confronted and you need to seek counsel, or you feel confronted and you feel combative, or you feel confronted and you feel like, well, I don't need you, you are the one who is in the process of being able to be elevated out of that. This is your opportunity. You could address this and grow. So it's a wonderful, remember, the problem is the process. That's the reason we're here, is to work through these problems and elevate beyond them. But wherever we are in our consciousness is how we will view everything. So if you come and you say, I think that you could do better with the podcast. I'm like, I agree. I am not doing the best I can. I could do better, and I intend to, and I will be doing so. Thank you.
Could you talk a little bit about the idea of thinking that we're doing the best that we can, or someone saying, yo, I'm doing the best I can?
No, you're not. You're going to make me turn up on purpose.
Yes, it's intentional. That's the goal. And you all know you like when she turns up, so you're welcome.
I am we are doing archetype classes now with Of the Sun, and we have just finished the archetype class. My archetype is that of a mother, so as well as many other things. And so in the position of a mother, when a child comes out of the bathroom and leaves it a mess, and they say, well, I tried to clean it, I did the best I can. I'm like, oh, no. We will be going back in there so that the best you can be better. The best you can, so you will have great clarity. So when you tell me I couldn't get up, I'm doing the best I can, I'm like, oh, no. I love you. I know who you are. You're not being other than yourself. Yourself is better than that. Yourself is not doing the best it can. Yourself is doing what your lower self would like, your other self is saying. So my position is humanity is not doing the best they can. We can do better because we are greater than we appear to be. We are greater than the lowest expression of everything that we do. We are better than this. And so I hold that position with some authority as a mother. So I feel comfortable with saying, no, you're not doing the best you can.
That's right. And let me show you. You can be greater.
Yeah, get that scrub brush. We'll go in there,
right.
And you can see how you can do better. You know. So I don't know if you got the rise out of me that you wanted.
I think enough. I'm not trying to force anything. Want it to be natural, but I do appreciate, because again, it's very relatable, but it hits different when you speak from a space of compassion, like seeing the greatness in the person.
Oh my goodness.
And how it just, again, hearing it, like if I was on the other side of like, hey, I'm doing the best I can, it's like, no, you're not. I know what you're capable of. It's like, ooh, what you do? Like, it
yes.
just kind of
like
shifts the person to look at it differently.
Yeah, I am able to see the exaltation in your blueprint. So you are not telling me the truth about you doing the best you can. You are misrepresenting the truth.
Yeah.
Tell your other self to move out of the way and let yourself come through.
Go to the corner. Ego, lower self, go to the corner while me and this young one moves into exaltation.
Yes, it's when you truly love humanity, truly love your children, love each other, love those of that you are engaged with, which is everyone, then you are able to not be critical by saying, it's not a critical comment that you're not doing the best you can. It is a factual clarity of who you are. It's a love story. It's a love song. No, you're not doing the best you can. Because you're so much more than that. Doesn't that feel good?
Yeah.
You know, so what do our cards have to say today?
Well, let's see, I gotta ask, because I was just so enamored with the conversation. So we're asking the cards to share with us the truth that we must hear regarding responsibility, correction, growing, learning from our reflections.
And the card that's being pulled today is, whoa, things are happening over there.
Damn, this is a really good one. And it's the theme, love,
Yeah.
heart chakra. Awareness that love is the only energy is vital to our freedom as living souls. I was going to ask you earlier, what chakra would one say consideration is associated with? And I feel like it's like with the heart. But
Oh, it absolutely is the heart. It's absolutely the heart. Because it is the electromagnetic field, the magnetism of, you know, of responsibility, consideration, communion, community, tribe, clan, humanity, and all other things. Not just humanity, the oneness.
yeah, all things, yeah.
Like, if it were not for the consideration of the trees, we would not be breathing oxygen. You know, it's like if the winds of the east and the west and the north and the south didn't blow, we would not have the oxygen available to us to animate us. So it is the entire universe is a consideration of each of us. That's how we have water to drink. I mean, all of this is a consideration, not a happenstance. This is to support our greatness.
It's funny, I just thought about like that Darwinian thinking, you know, it's just like, oh, things just happen, big bang, it's just here, there's no thought, no forethought. I can see where the fragmentation messes up our relationships or robs us of the beauty that we can gain from the consideration.
Now that we're moving into the fourth dimension, so many more people are able to see that that type of mechanistic view doesn't hold water
No.
in the reality that one thing jumped to another thing, that nothing existed as it was, that everything was primitive until it wasn't, and yeah.
Sounds like limitation to me.
Yeah,
Sounds like separation from the divine.
it does, but we're so glad that you've joined us today. We thank you for having been here with us. We give you the greetings of In Lakesh and Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude. Thank you.